Welcome back to Good Decent Law. Here to talk about Women's History Month is the Fort Polk Dental Health Activity Commander, Colonel Anita Kimbrough. Colonel Kimbrough, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Of course. Well, tell us first off a little bit about what you do out at Fort Polk.
So I am the Dental Health Activity Commander, which I am in charge of all the dental operations for Fort Polk and JRTC. We make sure that we provide all the dental services for the soldiers and the beneficiaries for Fort Polk.
That's fantastic. And so a lot of healthy smiles out there?
Well, that's what our goal is. Readiness is what we term that, and so just making sure that when it's time for us to be called to action, that our soldiers have a healthy mouth, healthy gums, healthy smile, you know, in order to be able to go out and not have to worry about that while we're in the fight.
Absolutely, yeah, very important too. So you're here to talk about women's history today, and so, you know, tell me a little bit about the women's history that we know of for the Army specifically.
Well, the women in the military date back well before the United States even became a nation. So not that we necessarily served in the role of soldiers or airmen or naval officers or enlisted or anything of that nature, but we contributed to the fight well before the nation was ever truly established. So dating back to the Revolutionary Wars and World War I, World War II, and moving onward to today, we have served in many capacities. Early on, some of the roles that women were assumed were such as cooks and clerks and nurses. And so we've come a tremendous way, you know, since the beginning of women in service. And one of the earliest formal corps in the military for women was known as the WAC, which is the Women's Army Corps. And that pretty much was established during World War II.
Wow. So there's a lot that women have done too, and you know, even before there were set things like, you know, there's a certain person who is in charge of the food and meals and everything for the Army, and you know, of course you have huge medical staff too that's very necessary as well. You know, before that was ever really determined as a department, women kind of assumed these roles. Now, were they spouses, volunteers? What were they?
Yes. So early on, we were spouses who decided that the war effort was so important that we oftentimes would fight alongside our spouse. So, you know, providing ammunition, providing care to the injured in the field, making sure that the linen, you know, things were washed and cleaned, and, you know, those sorts of type of activities. But today, of course, we've progressed a lot. Early on, women were so geared up to want to help to defend the nation that we even sometimes found that they were dressed as men in order to be able to fight in those roles and to serve in that capacity.
Now, you know, tell me, that's got to be very inspiring. You know, it is for me. I'm not in the Army. But for you, why is that so inspiring to kind of look at that history and say, wow, look at what we used to do?
First of all, our creed says, I am an American soldier, I'm a warrior, and a member of a team. So that is very inspiring to me, that women before me, even before the 1500s, the queens of Africa served as leaders and warriors. So that's definitely an opportunity for the folks such as myself, ladies such as myself, women warriors such as myself, to know that others have gone through the struggle, and that when you really decide that something matters to you, such as defending your country, defending your nation, protecting your family, protecting your loved ones, then having those that have gone before you are definitely there to set the pace for opportunities for others to come, such as our daughters. And my daughter is also a veteran. She's a Navy, she was a Navy corpsman, but she is putting in to be an industrial hygienist, so she wants to be an officer and serve in the nation as well. So when my grandchildren are able to see, hey, my grandmother at this age, you know, decided to serve the country in this role and as a leader in the Army, then they know too that that's something that's available to them. And then when we have our husbands, our fathers, our uncles, our brothers, our supervisors, commanders, our other leaders that encourage us to continue to press the envelope and to take on roles of greater responsibility that weren't available to us many centuries ago, you know, that's something that definitely sets the pace again for us to continue in service.
Absolutely, definitely very important to look back as we continue to look forward to see what we can do further. And thank you so much for your service. Thank you for coming on the show today. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Great, thank you. And we have more to come on Good Day Sin Laws. Stay right here.